Sometimes you write something and it needs some tweaks.
There's a reason it's a first draft.
So anyway, this is Be Afraid of the Dark special presentation, the original pilot episode.
It's pretty whack.
So yeah, I don't even know if I'd call it whack. I get why this would get some attention.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To be clear, they have released, I don't know how long ago, but they have released the original pilot episode for Supernatural that Eric Kripke wrote before it got heavily changed. My guess is this is kind of how he got some attention on it and then got a writer's room, and that writer's room came in and was like, okay, you need to change like 4 fundamental things about this, and that would really fix quite a bit. So yeah, it is, 59 pages? Mm-hmm. It is 59 pages. It is structured really well as a TV episode, but it just doesn't quite have that iconicism. So I printed it out and took notes. It's, quite a bit.
It doesn't have quite the juice yet. We've got the pulp, but there's no juice,
I certainly do now. We've got the pulp, not the juice. I've never heard that. That's funny.
That's a thing I just made up today.
Perfect. It's fantastic. So. Anyway, so where do you want to start? Should we just go through it, or do we just want to hit big main points? Because this is quite different.
It's quite different. Maybe we should hit on the main big differences first, and then we can kind of go through it, act by act. Because it's also split up into acts, which I didn't realize was a thing.
That's a TV thing because it accounts for commercial breaks.
Oh.
That's why.
I thought it was just and here's where this part of the episode is done.
It's a ad break thing. Oh. They used to write TV specifically to be structured for commercials. And now, which is, by the way, a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Because the problem is now when you watch something on Amazon and you don't have ads, it just like Fallout, which is a show I really enjoy, but Fallout structurally just cuts to black randomly. So it feels like it's supposed to be a commercial break, but it doesn't structure itself that way. So it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
TV used to be like this.
TV used to be television.
We say this every single episode, but I miss watching it. I used to, and I'm going to date myself here, in my senior year of high school, I used to watch the CW, and there would be days where it was Riverdale on Mondays, Supernatural on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah,
and it made my life much better.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing, but anyway, I think the first look. So like I was saying, fundamentally, this is the same. Different things happened, they end up in the same place essentially. Yeah. I guess it doesn't feel like it has that iconic thing that would launch Supernatural into being one of the most iconic television series of all time. And I think that all heavily starts with names.
Because why the hell is their last name Harrison?
Yeah, nothing wrong with the last name Harrison, just to be clear.
Shout out to one of the best Beatles, George Harrison.
Yeah, but it's not Sam and Dean Winchester, which is just much more like folk hero,
Like Sam and Dean Harrison? That's just the guy you know.
Not only that, Jack. Yeah. John's name is Jack in the original thing. This is the weirdest thing. So many of my notes on this were I think this is good, but it is improved by the changes. So many of my notes are that way. It's a pretty
good pilot for a different TV show.
Yeah. They're less nomadic. It implies they have a home base, an actual house.
Honestly, really fascinating.
Yeah, that was the original idea, especially because it was originally about journalists.
Yeah.
It was about 2 journalists going across the country. Now, of course, they're journalists, so they have a home base. So whoever came in, and I'm assuming this was Robert Singer, came in and was like, well, here's the things we need to change. Really, really good job, because I think they make such a good duo, because this has all the lore and the vibe and the feel. Sam and Dean really already feel like themselves in here. It just feels like it needed another pass to simplify some of the plot mechanics.
Absolutely.
And fix up some of the structure.
And there's still a lot of dialogue in this that I was like, that's in the first episode.
It is, yeah, quite a few things.
That's in the one of the funny things that I really noticed was they mentioned remember when we dealt with Bloody Mary? Which was so funny. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, wait.
I want desperately for one of the writers to be like, hey, can you take that out so we can do a Bloody Mary episode?
Because I want to do a Bloody Mary episode.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's they change really in this opening is mostly the same.
Except for kind of the part that was really
the shimmering window and then
the fire for Mary and Jess later on. Spoilers for the fake pilot, not the fake pilot, the not made pilot, but the fact that the demon starts the fire by spelling out "coming for you," and then everything lights on fire. It's interesting.
It's cool. I understand why that's your idea, but I think
it's a little on the nose.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too big, right? And so whoever came in, and maybe this was Crippy going, I don't like that. I just want her to burst into flames and make it even more of a mystery.
Yeah, because you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, I heavily improved by removing that element. Yeah, it's just not as spooky, you know?
Yeah. The vibes there's different vibes in this. It's not as spooky, in my opinion. But there's also things in it later where I'm like, damn, I wish that was a real episode. Can you guys bring this back?
Well, but then there's this interesting thing where they note, this is a tiny little thing, where they note that like Sam is like bawling and inconsolable in his room. And it's like, it's so much scarier if he runs in there and we know something's in there and everything's totally calm.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's so much. And then also the blood falling on the crib, not Sam.
Yeah.
Is Sam and his hand.
Yeah.
Whack. Not cool. Not nearly as cool.
But you know what I also love is how like obviously we know it's the 80s because it's like Lawrence, Kansas, 1982 or whatever at the beginning. But I love that they have all these like random little details of like it's his Sesame Street crib and he has a Casper nightlight and like the vibes are different, but they're so.
My note on that was couldn't get that cleared with legal, could you?
No, they could not get that cleared with legal. Sesame Street was like, we will not be involved.
Yeah,
in
Casper was like, no. So then the other thing that I think is interesting is Dean never gets into the room and Dean doesn't carry Sam out.
Yes.
That is a huge fundamental change that I think changes the character.
100%.
Right? Because like the paternal side of Dean, the side of Dean that is very like, I need to protect you, isn't necessarily in either version of the pilot nearly as much. That desperation to protect his brother. So it's like, it's okay here, but whoever came up with the idea is like, we need this thing to happen early to give Dean this personality trait. If that's who Dean is, and they found it and put it in, it's a big good change. Anyway, so
because because you just also don't. I think it's a fundamental part of their bond. And like, what's the thing that the girlies on TikTok are always saying? Like, oh, Dean is angry because he's raised by John, but Sam is kind because he's raised by Dean.
Yeah,
like like I don't buy. I don't know. I just don't buy their bond as much if it's not, Dean carrying baby Sam out of the fire.
It's a big fundamental change that does not work quite as well.
I love that they kept the shot though of John staring at the house.
Yeah,
because that's so. And then the way they mirror that at the end, even though there's no iconic line at the end, which I'm like, damn, this does not have as much of the sauce. Yeah. But like I don't know. It's like you said, it's like there's the bones here. There's good bones, but there's just something missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll kind of brush through some of the college stuff because it's just longer.
It's longer. It's a little too long.
Yeah.
And it's interesting also, the other main difference here that I thought was really fascinating is Sam's already in law school.
Yes.
Like he's already in law school. He's already doing clerk work for a judge. And like he doesn't live with Jess. But they're close. Like it's you said this in a really interesting way to me, where like they feel like they love each other, but they don't feel like they're in love.
But my bigger thing is this entirety of this screenplay this pilot script comes down to the fact of like there's this thing in writing is your character having a bad day or are they having the worst day ever?
Yeah.
Right. It's like so much of that where it's like they're having a horrible day, but like Sam isn't planning on he says it at this, he's like I could see myself marrying her, right?
Yeah.
But they're not living together. He hasn't met her family yet, right? Which is, by the way, that's a touching thing. Like, look, I think they actually filmed this of them kind of walking through campus, but they cut that. They just cut straight to, do I have to wear the costume? Whatever. And then they're into the bar and they have a very quick little scene there. And then they're back into bed. The pilot, as it ended up being, is way more economical than this.
Yes.
The dialogue happens in better, more succinct, efficient ways. This has got this just feels a little long in the tooth.
Yeah. A little long in the tooth. And the stakes are just not as what's the word? I don't know. The stakes just aren't staking.
The stakes aren't as high.
Yeah, thank you.
But the thing, that's the thing is the other thing is we never establish a 3-day, he doesn't have the weekend to finish this case and get back.
Yeah.
There's no ticking clock to hang over them to drive a wedge, whatever. That is what it is. But that happens. And then the other thing that I don't, there's this line I thought was funny. Luis says that their friend, he goes, I heard that in real life, Bill Cosby's a total harsh guy.
And you're like,
and I literally wrote, ahead of your time, Kripke.
Literally, Kripke being like, I heard he's a really harsh guy. And we're like,
Yeah.
rough.
So anyway,
age is bad.
Literally, that scene at the bar is like 4 or 5 pages here. Sam's playing darts and he's really great at it. And
Which is like a funny background detail that he's whooping their ass at
yeah,
darts.
because he's like a trained warrior.
And I love too in a minute here that he has like the suitcase in his house.
See, and I hate that.
Oh,
It feels like he's not moving on.
that's fair.
It feels like he's got like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like I understand having a gun and a knife and maybe a couple charms because you know what's out there.
Yeah.
But this feels like he's got his go bag ready to get back in the car with Dean. Now that's not what they're implying,
Yeah.
but to me it reads that way and it feels that way. Where it's like you watch John Wick and John Wick has to literally like unbury it from cement, and then once it's unburied, he can't put it back. Sam's is in a busted up suitcase in the
Yeah.
closet. It's not as interesting to me.
The vinyl shell suitcase or whatever. I love it.
It's a great image.
I just really like the way that he puts in the small details in the script a lot.
Yes.
I greatly, it made it much more enjoyable to read. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm picturing it, which
Well-
I know that that's not technically something that you should always do in a
Yeah.
script or a screenplay. Is like, here's every minute detail of what this is supposed to look like. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there a difference between what's the main differences? This is kind of a late in the day question to ask, but what's the main differences when you're writing a pilot versus a screenplay?
There isn't.
Well, there you go.
I mean, it's TV versus feature, so they're structured differently, but that's kind of it. Is it just a matter of structure? And pilots, you have to leave things more open-ended, so it's like that's the nature of television. You have to continually make stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it.
All right.
It's the
Answers
same.
my question.
The principles of storytelling are all the same. You just have to kind of be willing to set up more than answer more, and like that's kind of it. But you can also look at seasons as one full giant screenplay.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to have a complete arc within a season. That's more what it is. Just longer. And I don't know, more patient, I guess. Anyway, so this is this thing, but the mystery element here is much less important.
Yes.
Like Dean already has John's journal.
Yeah. Which I was like, what?
And that is what I want to point out is I think the thing that saved it.
Yeah.
Whoever came in and said, no, they need to find this, and that's the thing that tells them how bad it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because then they go to the town knowing basically nothing other than, and they're like, well, what is this scene? Why do they know he's there and he's in trouble? Okay, good. The recorder picking up the ghostly spirit, right? Like, okay.
I can never go home.
Exactly. So we know someone's there. We have a key into the looseness of the mystery. Let's go. We have to go. Dad's there. Okay, we discover Dad's hotel room. Okay, good. Now, oh no, we are caught by the cops and discover. Which, by the way, the lack of a bridge in this is a huge bummer to me.
I know. It's just like, and here's the sign, but you're like,
Yeah, her driving the car isn't it? It's like whoever came in and the teenager thing, right? Like they're talking to he's like, yeah, he's dating my daughter or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So. Good. That's a good addition to change from this, which is they just go find their friends in school, and the friends are like, well, everyone knows about this story. It's like, again, it's just more complicated. They have to go to the school. They have to look through the yearbook. They have to find the friends.
And you're like, how did those two fuckers end up in that school and no one? Like, I love that they're like the librarians glaring at them, and you're like, this is so like pre any level of security, pre our crazy school shooting culture where these two could just wander onto it. They're like 23 and 26 wandering onto a school campus like, hey guys, you heard about the violence?
Yeah. Well, so it's that, but then it's like the change is just they overhear the cop's daughters plastering posters all over town. Mm-hmm. So they just walk down Main Street and find her. It's like it's that simple, right? Instead of this whole heist, it again, it's just simplified. A good storytelling is simple.
Yeah.
It's simple but deep. So those are the changes that really work is adding to the mystery and then having, because they set it up in this, like they go into the evidence room with a cop, right?
Which is so funny. Can you I love that keep the moment of Sam being like, we can't impersonate federal officers. And Dean's like, anyways.
Again, it's like you can feel Robert Singer or Rael Tucker or Sarah Gamble coming in and just essentially just going, yeah, look, your thing is here. It just needs to play out a little different. So how about instead of them getting into the evidence locker and finding a necklace, which doesn't really matter, how about they just they're driving into town and then murder the night before, which we already establish, and then the cops are there looking at it. Done. Have them do this here, and then they're like, well, what's this? If I was a person who was writing something, I'd go, what is the importance of like the captain, the police captain, clocking them on their way out and like having a moment of glaring at them if it never comes back up. So either you have to cut that out, or here's something interesting. What if Dean gets arrested?
Yeah.
And that's why Sam's on his own.
Yeah.
Because the logic of, so the other change is that the husband of the woman in white is actually they believe is a serial killer, and he's in prison like 200 miles away.
Yeah.
And he killed her, and that's where they found Constance. And it's this whole like overly convoluted thing, because then they just go, okay, well, if you need an emotional conversation with a parent or somebody, why not do this? Because they fundamentally changed the woman in white. I'm guessing the show is a more accurate woman in white lore.
Yes.
So it feels like, because do they ever say woman in white in this?
They never say woman in white. They don't even really call her they call her a ghost a couple of times, but they don't even really assess that she's like,
because they have
a vengeful spirit.
But the
or
thing is,
something.
they have the conversation about well, they had to originate somewhere, and
yeah, like
so,
they have like, but it again, like the show aspect is a much more like La Llorona and A Woman in White are very much like women who have killed their children,
and so it feels it feels like somebody came in and go, well, you know what this sounds like is it sounds like this myth, and this myth, this is what happens. So why don't you just again simplify, truncate, make it smaller? And
even
I think
though I would have watched the hell out of this movie of the ghost killing people, and then you realize that she was a serial killer in life.
Oh, I fully.
I'm like, chop.
I'm
Where's
surprised
that?
they didn't use a lot of these elements in a later episode, and my guess is somewhere along the way that they did.
Yes.
I mean, the kind of the you think it's the prisoners in asylum.
Yes.
Who are doing it, but it's really that. So it's like that's kind of the same thing.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, that thing where like they're like, well, we got to go talk to him to find out where the bones are, and then that ends up meaning nothing.
Like, and it's just like, and the fact that they have to like wrap in like Sam calls his judge boss to be like, can you get me into this prison? And it's like, it just, Sam should not have this much of a paper trail of like why he's there, and like why are the guards not like, what the fuck are you two doing talking about ghosts? What the hell is your problem?
Yeah,
like,
it is a weird thing that I am glad that kind of changed.
It's kind of like Finchery almost.
It does feel a little Finchery. Another thing that I note that like they flip it where like Sam is trying to get a hold of her, but in this she's trying to get a hold of him.
Yeah,
and I don't like that as much. Like I think the other it's all these small little adjustments where they go, the thing is here, but what if we look at it from a different angle? What if the emotion is a different angle? You know, if Sam's supposed to be guilty, then why not have him like try to call and she's just not there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's some stuff like that really works for me. Again, Dean never gets arrested in this. They split up and he goes and finds the bones and nothing comes of it.
And it's funny too that he, when he calls the police later when they find all the bodies, like that he gives the name Ted Nugent. And or Sam's like, did you give the name Ted Nugent?
Yeah.
And he's like, I always do, which is funny because that's the name he gives. And when he gets arrested, like it's Nugent, Ted Nugent.
Feels like somebody came in and went, how do they make their money? And Kripke was like, oh, it's this. And they're like, that's not as interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Like that comes back to they have a home base. Dean is literally like, we'll go to the house. He's like, whose house? Our house, dude. And it's like, no. They need to be living out of their cars and traveling the country as nomads, being monster hunters, because how do they hunt monsters and work day jobs?
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's fundamentally a correct choice to change. And I would be super fascinated to know 100%. Who asked those questions and how it got changed.
And then the other thing, this is a thing I just have to mention because it made me just fully roll my eyes at my own desk, was, and we skipped past it a little bit, but when Dean's like, they're talking to the teenagers or whatever, and they get back to the car, and Dean's like, how old do you think those girls are? I'm like, get that is not my boy. Get him out of here.
My note is literally, so glad they cut this.
I'm like, he's not gross.
I know, yeah.
He's typical, like,
he's
I'm
trashy
a little bit. I'm
but
like, do not do this.
Yeah.
Get that man. That is not my boy. Get that man out of here.
Well, okay, so then they substitute the bridge sequence. This is one of the bigger changes that I'm curious. I don't know how they made the connection, but they substitute the bridge sequence with this like stakeout, and they're in the car and they see her, then Dean tears after her.
And they're having the emotional version of the conversation where they're, which is again much better in the pilot, where they're arguing and they're having the argument, and then the argument they're having in this is like Dean reminding him of the argument they once had, and you're like, this is not anywhere as powerful.
And so somebody came in and went, well, why isn't this just the argument the first time?
Yeah.
Right. And then that is a super simple fix. It's the set piece. I think once they discovered the bridge and had that location, it was probably also cheaper to not put a bunch of cars in a cornfield. So they changed it. But I also don't like the cornfield thing, because like I think that's a cool idea for something else.
I thought it was really cool.
Oh, I think it's cool and creepy, but like you're telling me they've been searching for all these cars and they couldn't find them in a cornfield right by where they disappeared. It doesn't work, right? It's like it's a gap in logic versus them finding the car with blood in it. Way cooler to me.
Way cooler.
Right? Because then it becomes the cops have suspicion and they're looking for a suspect, not just
they're not like, oh, they disappeared without a trace. And Her last name's also slightly different. It's Weld in this, and it's Welch in the thing, which much better because Constance Weld. Weld is not a name.
No. Well, okay. So then I think this is an interesting thing. They in the pilot, he's like, you shoot freaking, or what were you thinking? Shooting freaking Casper in the face, right? In this, there's a setup line to it. He's like, what were we gonna do? Shoot him in the face? So what do we do if Casper shows up? We shoot it. We can't exactly shoot it in the face.
And
right?
I said, and you're like, I know what line you're gonna make.
Exactly. And so it's like you don't need that setup line so much. It's funny either way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of other things that like really fundamentally.
This, I don't know how much this actually changes for other people, but it felt like it changed it for me. Of they're only 3 years apart and not 4.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why that mattered so much to me,
Yeah.
but I believe more that a 4-year-old could carry a baby out than a 3-year-old, and that's not even a thing. Like, I don't know, it makes them feel slightly more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, maybe I'm just so used to them being 4 years apart that them being 23 and 26. I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. So here's another huge change along with the college element and the age gap, right? So it's not only is they're a little bit closer in age, but Sam still had an active relationship with them while going through college, right? There's this line, Dean's quoting Jack, I guess, in this. He's like, you wasted enough time on college already, boy. Time to come home and join the business.
Yeah.
Right. And that's so funny to me that it's like, he still had a relationship with him. So which means they only haven't talked in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Or a year or something.
They say kind of that they haven't spoken in a year, and that the last argument they had was was the argument they have on the bridge of Sam being like, it doesn't matter how much we do any of this, Mom is still going to be dead.
Yeah. Right. Like, that change is crazy to me. Again, it's this, they hadn't quite figured out what their life was and what their history was. You know, they have a home base. John was not fine with him going to college, but he let him go to college without, cutting him off and ruining the relationship. And I think that is a really genuinely fascinating change, and I like the show's version better.
Yeah.
I like that Sam went off and had to live a long time by himself, and John went 4 years without seeing his son face to face. Right? It's like exactly you say, like the last time John actually, because I know John went and visited him whenever he could, but he never talked to him. There's a difference between being eye to eye with somebody and seeing him from across the quad. And I think that is a really good change. And again, is it the worst day, or is it a bad day, or is it the worst day ever?
Yeah. Is it the worst relationship with your dad ever, or is it just kind of a shitty relationship?
Is it just a bad relationship?
Is it a bad patch in your relationship with
Has
your
it been
dad?
Has it been a long time, or has it been an unbearable amount of time?
Yeah. Have you always had a shitty relationship with your dad, or is it just now the worst it's ever been?
Exactly. I have a note. Wow, I'm so glad this was rewritten. Wait, I thought we were hanging back. Dean's already gone. Yeah, it's the whole cornfield scene. Like, again, cool. And I think there's another episode of Supernatural where this would have fit really well. I just don't think it's this one.
No, it gets like Children of the Corny there for a second.
Yeah, and again, the discovery and like the logic of it doesn't quite make sense to me.
I do love the description of from the inside of the car, like seeing, like it feels gorier, even though I know it's not. Of like the seeing, like, oh, it's just like red inside the car.
Yeah.
And like you're seeing Sam through the windshield of the car, and you're seeing the shadow of the dead kid.
Yeah.
But it also like doesn't quite make as much sense when they're trying to establish that she has a pattern.
Yeah.
And that when she was alive, she would pick up old men and go kill them in front of her parents' house. Which I'm like, if she was 16 and she's killing pervy old men, whatever. But and then she kills another teenager. It's just, I don't know. The logic isn't as sound for why she's killing people as it is, again, in the pilot of like she kills men who are unfaithful because her husband was unfaithful.
Yeah.
Like,
again, it's just whoever came in and kind of like, what I have to imagine is exactly like I said, like somebody came in and said, oh, this kind of sounds like the woman in white myth. And then they talk about the woman in white myth. So, okay, so then that changes. So then the killer plot changes to a husband who was unfaithful and she killed her children, and it becomes that. And then the other one had to be a structure thing of like, well, what if they find the journal there and we beef up the mystery earlier?
Yeah.
Right. So we add another piece later for them to discover, and it's a big moment because they're like, and I have to imagine Kripke had this where he's like, well, that journal's just gonna have all this information they need for the whole season, and then Robert Singer or Sarah Gamble or Ray Altucher had to come in and be like, well, okay, well, then make that a moment.
Yeah.
Make that a big moment where it slams down on the table, and they're like, oh no, Dad's journal, he doesn't go anywhere without that thing, right? Save that for later. And I think that's just one of the best choices that changed. I think those are the two fundamental things, and then everything else is just like iron out some dialogue. Oh, this scene is like, okay, let's, instead of having them refer to an old argument, make this that argument because it's interesting, right? adjustment there, adjustment here, adjustment there, and then
there's
you got
more,
a great pilot.
Like there's a reason that they have to leave the motel, and it's because they're coming in, and that scene also establishes more of like they have a code. Like this doesn't feel like they've fallen back into the same old behavior as they used to.
Yeah.
And the pilot is very much like, dude, 5-0, take off, and then he's like, okay, I'm going. Like, you know what I mean? Like
the pilot's more narratively economic. The pilot is more
characterally economic.
Yes, it immediately is. And again, Sam and Dean are Sam and Dean in this. They're just a little bit different, and there's a few things that they didn't need.
Yeah.
I think it's a fascinating adjustment and change to. Again, really two fundamental changes happened that set this on a better path. And then they just went in and went, okay, how can we be more economic? Like if we take out these three little things that we don't really need, we can put one line of dialogue in there that implies all this history, right? Like early on when they're looking at the ghost, the message on the things, like kind of like riding a bike. I ran it through this and this, and you're like, okay, so they're good at this and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And they don't feel as good at it in this one. Like, and it's like,
but it's also like they don't talk about salt. They don't talk about the lore doesn't feel as strong and as deep here, right? That's the thing, is it's just like a bunch of weapons they have. Oh, well, I'm figuring more burner bones, but they don't explain that. They're like, they don't say salt and burner bones, right? So the addition of salt makes it feel deeper.
And Sam even says like, we'll give her a proper burial, and Dean's like, or just burn her bones.
And then the funny thing with that is like, she's the body's not even in there. So it's like, that's something I really like in the actual pilot, is that like she was cremated. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, they're like, cremated, there's no bones. Now we got to figure something else. Okay, so we established that's not the only way to kill a ghost. Ghosts can cling on to other things. Okay, now we're cooking. We know now how the traditional way to kill a ghost, but now we have to figure out.
Now we have to figure out the other way.
Yeah, but it's not the only way. They can survive past that, and okay, now that's set up for the rest of the season, rest of the series. We know.
And then still, Kripke hits on the way that they're going to kill her is they drive the car into the house, and the other ghosts like take care of her. Which is again, that's such
it's the parents, and I don't think that's as interesting as the kids.
Not anywhere as fascinating as you chilled.
Yeah.
Not as fascinating as when you killed your children, girl.
And like the whole like unfaithful element too, I like more. It just makes the show feel a little, the actual show feel a little more like the character, the boyfriend, the guy dressed like Harry Potter in the script.
Very dated reference.
It's like he picks up this woman, but he's not really flirting with her. The closest to flirting we get keyed into that I remember, you read it last night, I read it a couple days ago, but is him like wiping the thing off because he doesn't
he doesn't
scar.
Want this pretty girl to like think he's a goofball, and he says like one thing about like, are you cold?
There's no
she's still wearing like, and it's it's cold outside. He's like, are you not cold?
There's no like pervy moment where he's like looking at her like, she's like, take me home.
Yeah, there's no pervy moment of her like doing the thing with her dress, like he's just like a sweet teenage boy.
Yeah, he's just who's
like, okay, I'll take you home. Like are you okay?
Yeah, he's like a vaguely horny teenage boy,
and there's nothing wrong with the poor. That's what they do.
Yeah,
like.
And I like the idea that he's a shitty boyfriend in the show, where he's like got this girlfriend, he's being a terrible boyfriend. It's like it adds just a layer to the world of like, okay, and it adds that element of like, this kid's gonna die, let's make him a bad person, so it's not too terrible. You know?
You're not like, damn, let's go visit his high school and the sign and like, and then the pilot here, it's like, we miss you, Troy, on the front, and like it's like it, and it also gives you this extra aspect of Sam being like, I've never been unfaithful, and so you get like. You realize it's again that little thing of like Jessica shows up and Dean's immediately like, I love the Smurfs. Yeah, I love how they kept that, by the way.
Yeah, well, again, it's got a lot of the DNA and a lot of the literal lines of dialogue.
Yes,
they just change a lot of it, truncate. Like there's a few moments where it's like, you know what's out there. Of course, you should be freaking terrified. And it's like
that's our podcast name.
But it's not as it's better in the show. Yes. You know what I mean? They pull out the friggin' terrified thing, and it's like, this just doesn't work. Like,
no, it's and so we've beaten this point to death over the last 30 minutes. But it's more narratively economic. Yeah, it's better with the character choices, but the bones are here.
Yeah. Oh, again, reading this, I fully understand why a network's like, okay, put together a writer's room. Let's start development. And well, a big part of this I actually want to give credit to, because I think people would be surprised how often the pitch name on a movie or a TV show is not what it ends up being called. It's actually really, really, really common for it not to be that. Like, I don't think John Wick was originally titled John Wick.
What was it called?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't
John
think.
Wick is a perfect title for it. So
Yeah, but I also don't. I know for a fact that Stranger Things wasn't originally titled Stranger Things. It was,
Yes.
it was titled like Hawkins County or something like that. Like,
yes, because it was originally a whole MK Ultra thing. Don't get me started.
they have a great for any screenwriter, anybody who wants to get into directing, they have their whole pitch book online. So just look up Stranger Things pitch book.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. I have it saved every time I kind of make a pitch book or something. I reference it for like inspiration. It's really great. But that show had a different name. I will give this is the original pilot script that they, at least original to the extent that they released it, and it is already titled Supernatural. He knew it's like that's going to be an iconic title.
Perfect.
And again, I would, if I read a show called Supernatural about this, I'd be like, I'm not changing the title. It's great.
Yeah.
Because there's a version of this where you call it the Winchesters, which is what the spinoff later, which inevitably we'll watch.
At some point,
along with the, that'll probably be the end. We'll save that and the anime for our final 2 seasons of this show before it inevitably ends in 20 years when we finish. Anyway, so I think this is a really fascinating thing, and I'm glad we did this because I love reading old drafts of movies and shows, because it's just like, okay, wait, that's what I need to be thinking about when I'm writing, right? Because I find with the scripts I write a lot is not a lot of big things change, because I sit there and I think about, like, my process, I just go for a ton of walks and I play the movie in my head. So I find a lot of the big fundamental pieces. What changes for me is a lot of the specifics within that. So like my structure typically stays about the same. Like the biggest change I've made in a recent script is I added 15 pages to something, and then I put it in, and then I took that 15 pages and I split it into 2 chunks in different parts of the script. And that is what shifted it structurally. But typically for me, I usually go in and I go, oh, I can just take these 2 things and make them one.
Yeah.
But a lot of it stays the same. Or I take each of these 2 things and the fundamentals of them changes, but the thing happens that's the same.
Yeah.
This has fundamental differences. I would say 2 fundamental differences that essentially cause a full script rewrite.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had a printout of this document and had a clean document on his computer and was writing that way.
Yeah.
And just went, okay, over black. And he went, title, Supernatural, teaser, over black, Lawrence, Kansas, 1982, exterior neighborhood street, a small town. And then he would write like that into a clean document, reading it off a paper. And then he goes, okay, now I need to fully change. And then he pauses and reads through all the changes and marks the next point he can continue, right? Because that's a thing is most people will go in and they change in the document. I wouldn't be surprised if he fully sat this aside and rewrote from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it is different enough.
Yes.
And he's pulling pieces, but full conversation change.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this is good. That's my ramble on screenwriting.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Other things, other moments.
I think it's really, and we won't spoil too much about this because again, I try not to just reference future seasons all the time. But I think it's really telling that Mary goes, "Get away from him," like that, and isn't because in the pilot we get, she runs in, and just screams. There's no dialogue. We get no dialogue from her when she sees the demon. She just screams.
I'm glad they cut that, by the way. It's way scarier to have her and then cut to out and you hear the commotion and then John.
Whatever the fuck.
Again, the name thing.
And they make him a Navy guy, not a Marine guy,
which is fascinating. I guess technically the Marines are part of the Navy.
Are they?
I think so. I don't know. Actually, that's not true.
They make a point in the picture that to be like if John's in his naval whites.
Yeah. Instead of a USMC.
My notes make me laugh on that in my journal because I was like, what college is that?
It's like the United States Marine Corps. Anyway, it is. I think honestly the name thing might be the best change they made because Sam, John, and Jack Harrison, or Sam, Dean, and Jack Harrison. Harrison just doesn't work the same as Sam, Dean, and John Winchester, Winchesters, right? Yeah. That feels like a legend, bro.
Yeah.
Again, it's a famous firearm. It's already has a kind
of
gun
that won the West.
Yeah, exactly. It has a mythology to it already, so you name them that, and it just clicks into place. This is the dumbest thing, but I legitimately believe if they had left the names like this, including Jack instead of John, the show would not have been nearly as popular.
No.
There's something, the characters are already there, but there's something about the name change that makes them feel mythological.
Yes.
So they become mythological.
Because Jack is not Jack is a strong name or however they say it, but clearly Kripke was like, wait, her name's already Mary. I should name him John.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's just clearly, it's just really fun. I love reading old things like this and like seeing the DNA of like the show that you come to love. So
Yeah.
this was really fun to read.
So we decided to cover House of Wax, 'cause that's the movie Jared did right before doing Supernatural.
Like literally 3 months.
Yeah, quite like that
Like,
came
out 3 months.
Yeah, so he
before
was doing
Supernatural
these
premiered.
kind of he essentially filmed House of Wax, filmed Supernatural, or maybe was filming Supernatural, filmed House of Wax.
Yeah,
Maybe it
something
took
like
whatever. But this is the thing that predated this, and then he did this.
So next we'll watch all of Jensen's Days of Our Lives seasons and just report back.
Please don't make me do that. Was he in multiple seasons of that show?
I have no idea.
I have to imagine he was in like 10
Not
episodes.
a single clue.
Anyway, anything else we want to discuss?
No.
All right. Well, then, look. This is the Supernatural pilot. I highly recommend reading this. It's quite fast. If you're a Supernatural fan, it's really a fascinating read. But your homework for next week, what you need to watch for next week, is the 2005 House of Wax movie. We will be discussing that. Very excited.
I enjoyed it. Goofy movie.
It is a goofy movie. We had a good time with it. And then after that, we will be back with season 2. That will be in January.
I am so excited to get into season 2.
I
literally
deeply excited.
cannot wait.
Yeah, so season 2 coming at you very soon. But in the meantime, you need to watch a movie. You need to get your journal. You need to hit the road. But remember, you know what's out there. Be afraid of the dark.